Now I want to talk a little bit about the traditional marketing versus digital marketing because I know that people always hear there's a digital marketing company, and very few times do you hear that the digital company does marketing as well. But I want to break down what the differences are because you may need a marketing company, you may need a digital marketing company. But at least if you have the understanding of how the two comply with each other, and I say that because they kind of function separately, in my opinion, but you will have some digital marketing people to say, no, it's all the same. I personally do not believe it's the same. Traditional marketing is more transitional. It helps you understand how you need to transition your business from a data perspective. It's the foundation that you start with. So it has everything to do with your strategic process and how you collect and align that data. It is helping you refine your persona and your target audience. It has to do with helping you use data points to set the direction of your company, where you're going to go, how soon you want to get there, how you want to pace yourself out. And that information is so critical. And traditional marketing is really aligns closely with the operations part of your business. Whereas digital marketing is great. It provides instant feedback. If you have a product or service, you know how the customers feel, you know what's going on. It has quantitative data versus traditional marketing, which usually has more qualitative data when it comes to your market research as focus groups, on interviews. That's something that is, I would say, kind of old school, which people don't tend to pick up the phone anymore, but you get really good insight at a personal, intimate level from the traditional marketing. Highly recommend using the traditional marketing approach for service-based companies because it is more of a personal interaction and transition for your business. And I say transition because that feedback helps you transition to how you set the mission of your company, the objectives of your company, and the elements on how you measure the KPIs, what's going to be successful for you as a business. And then I would say the digital part, it's not an either or, it's an and. You need both. The digital component, like I said, is the instant feedback. You push out a post, you immediately get feedback. It's the quantitative data for your marketing tools. It provides data on who is taking action with your audience within days, minutes, hours. It is more of a transactional relationship. I give you something, I get something. I give you an offer, I get a discount. An example of that is I give you 10%. You sign up for mobile texting to get notified or notifications if I'm going to do a sale 20% off. Now, you need to be very careful with just going out and launching a digital marketing campaign because oftentimes, if you launch a digital marketing campaign and it's tied to social media, you're going to get instant feedback, good or bad. So you have to be really solid in knowing, like, am I ready to launch this effort and to say, hey, I love, support my product if you know that you have other customers complaining that it's not a good quality product. So it immediately opens you up to criticism and feedback. And you need to have someone to be able to manage that. We have a client who's a bank and they're a community bank, and they are very reluctant to disclose a lot of information. And they really use the Twitter account and they really use their social media as more as a customer service function, more so than push notifications and getting information out because they are more so interested in what the feedback is on their reputation. And so a lot of times people will immediately go to Twitter to start like complaining or commenting. And so they get instant feedback on things that they need to make, adjustments they need to make in their company. So when it comes to the traditional, I would say that traditional is more so the foundation. It aligns with the primary research. You use the data to set your strategic direction. It helps you create your personas and using the research for the focus groups. It helps you really be able to refine, like, who is your persona, who's your target audience, where digital marketing is more quantitative data. You can assess the relationship with your client instantly because you're going to get instant feedback. And then, depending on if you're on Yelp or if you have Google reviews, it's going to expose the inefficiencies within your organization as well. So, I would say before you start really going and launching a strong digital campaign, that you really focus on making sure that your brand is really strong, your reputation is good. And then, of course, you're going to have feedback. But again, when you have that digital campaign, you have your brand really out there and on all the platforms, make sure you have somebody monitoring that stuff and responding. Because oftentimes I think that customers are a little bit more forgiving when you respond. It's just that when you have a post and there's so many of them that you're not responding, that means like they don't really give a crap, you know? So make sure that you're responding, you're addressing some of the complaints that may be happening. And not only there's some HR websites as well for service-based businesses. I have some peers that before they hire someone, they'll go and see to some of the HR portals and they'll see what the reputation is for the company before they even enter into a contractual relationship with them. So if there's a high turnover and attrition, they're looking at that because they don't want to engage in a relationship with the service-based company and they can't maintain their employees. That's just not going to be good. So there are a lot of different things that you could do to leverage your traditional marketing and your digital marketing. But I wanted to make sure I articulate clearly moving forward what the difference is between the two. So, how are both important to your business? Both are important to your business because you need both. So, what does that look like? Because I'm really big on giving you live examples of what something looks like. Because I can tell you in theory and from an educational perspective and a knowledge base, but I want you to be able to say, "Oh, that's what that looks like." So, what that looks like is you push out a post, you push out a mobile text message. How are we doing? Are we doing great? You guys are not doing great. You need to work on this aspect of your business. Based on that feedback, you can immediately make adjustments in your business. You can immediately identify people who are not performing, and this does impact marketing. People often underestimate the value of bad employees on the marketing of your business. It is critical that people interact and have a positive exchange. Even training your employees on how to be, giving them talking points on how to exchange in conversation to leverage and upsell the other aspects of your business. That is a form of marketing. That would be a traditional marketing function. So, in the digital marketing function, going back to that, is quantitative data based on the marketing tools that you use. How do we quantify how many people clicked on the ads? How many people went to your website after they clicked on that ad? How many people looked at that QR code on that billboard, clicked it, and went to your website? How many people are coming to you from Google, right? How many of you sent out a mobile text message? How many of those customers clicked on that mobile text message, went to the website, were interested in the product that you posted, and actually moved forward and made a purchase, right? And then quantifying that whether or not that was a good return on investment from a marketing investment. So the difference between traditional and digital, if I have to say, I would have to consolidate it. I would say traditional is the foundational principles that set the guidelines and the framework of what you're going to measure, what's important to you, aligning your mission objectives, and helping you create your KPI. The digital component of marketing is the immediate impact that you get from some of the digital tools that you use and assessment of quick perspectives and of your business. So quick feedback from your customers, quick feedback on your inefficiencies in your companies, quick feedback on marketing. The other thing you could do, we're not getting into this too much, what we call split testing. So you could do a test to see, is this content header going to really resonate and get me more people to click? Or is this content header going to give me more clicks? So you can, let's say you're trying to push out an email campaign for a social media campaign, right? You want to run ads promoting your new product. You can test the photo, you can test the image. It's always recommended from a marketing perspective that you only test one. So you want to test the messaging, same photos, same headline, test body messaging, or you can test the photo, but everything else has to be the same. So you can only test one thing to get a really good assessment on how that ad is going to perform. So you can run A/B testing before you decide to launch and do additional, put thousands of dollars behind a product promotion, right? So the digital and marketing piece is traditional, is more so helping you create the foundation that you will build on your marketing before you build out your digital. And the digital are the tactics and tools that allow you to get real time that are online. Some of them are what we call billboards. You can generate QR codes for and put those on the digital ads and placement that you actually see outside. Have someone use their phone, scan it, take the track website. So those are the two different. And again, I say you don't want to do either or. You want to do and. Those are the two different approaches to using the traditional and using the digital. You start with the traditional, you have someone who's really good with branding and strategy. Sometimes they are the same. I always recommend you keep those companies separate and then you move forward with hiring a digital person. Now, ideally, I always recommend that there's so many components to the traditional side that I always recommend that you really focus on the really when it comes down to it, separating those two out. So I hope that helps.